第10届中国花博会于5月21日至7月2日在上海崇明举行，围绕梦花园核心区，共展示2000多个花卉品种，300多种乔木植物。作为花卉王国，南非在此次花博会设立了南非园，向世界展示南非植物的多样性。南非驻华大使谢胜文做客南财对话时表示，希望南非同中国的友情像我们的帝王花一样美好。中南两国于1998年设立外交关系，短短23年间，两国关系实现从伙伴到战略伙伴，再到全面战略伙伴的3级跳。此外，2010年，在中国的倡导下，经过与巴西、俄罗斯、印度一致协商，南非被纳入金砖国家机制，这为南非提高国际地位发挥了重要作用。近年来，中南经贸合作发展迅速，中国已经是南非最大贸易伙伴，南非也是中国在非洲最大的贸易伙伴。此外，不少中资企业在南非设立非洲总部，双方务实合作，不断向纵深拓展，不断取得新突破。
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for your time today. It's my great honor to have you here. Firstly, I want to talk something about the China Flower Expo. Why did South Africa take part in the 10th China Flower Expo?
I think China is a very important and strong partner of South Africa. Since we established our bilateral relations after our own freedom, we have been strengthening the cooperation at a political level, at economical level, and more important, at a people-to-people and cultural level. So more and more efforts we can put in this cultural and tourism exchange, where we hope that more South Africans will visit China and more Chinese will visit South Africa, because it is through that interaction that we can understand each other's culture. If we understand each other's culture, we understand each other's ideas, then we can do more business. We can connect more politically. So South Africa, like China, we enjoy flowers. We enjoy beautiful nature. And we couldn't miss this opportunity of this important, particularly the 10th edition of this expo, that we also come and join and participate, because that's how we can learn and exchange with other peoples of the world, and more particularly China. Shanghai is very important to us in terms of economic development and the people linking with South Africa.
Mm-hmm. I learned you have been in China for about half a year. How do you think the current China-South Africa relation?
As I've said, they are getting stronger year by year. Our political leaders, they've got high mutual respect among themselves. They communicate more frequently, and they share the very same ideas on the global issues. And that's why, through that mutual and win-win cooperation, they are able to lead the developing world, so that they are part of development and they are not left behind. For instance, if you check, South Africa is China is the largest trading partner of South Africa. And South Africa is the largest trading partner from Africa to China. So we have these long political ties. So at this stage, like I said, the connection of the people, the Chinese population in South Africa is increasing day by day. And that's why in some of our basic schools, we've started to give Mandarin as a language for people to learn, because more and more Chinese businesses are setting themselves in South Africa. So it's easy even for South Africans to learn the Chinese culture and able to help those companies to grow. So this year, as the centenary of the party, is even stronger. We really think that this relationship is going to go stronger. And expos like this who have been participating in other expo like London Expo and so on. But they are also important as we turn east, as we turn to this South-South cooperation with China, that we strengthen those ties of cultural and tourism exchange. Really, as I said, I came here yesterday. I was very impressed. Beautiful flowers, beautiful scenery, and I was thinking of my own province where I come from. It felt like I'm at home. And I honestly hope South African can have a chance not just to end in the CBD of Shanghai and visit beautiful places like this to deepen our cooperation.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, more and more Chinese are living in South Africa. Would you like to introduce a little more about China's investing in South Africa?
The investment is growing. As you know, we also are investing here. Big companies, most of them are based here in Shanghai. But what we have seen over the last few years is very beneficial investment and technology transfer to South Africa. Most of your big tech companies, they already have regional headquarters for Africa in South Africa. You may talk about Huawei, ZTE, and so on. But also, as you know, we are very big in mining. Some of your companies, because they use modern technology, they've saved some of our old mines because they've come up, I know, in one area in a province called Limpopo, where the mine was about to close. A Chinese investor came with new technology, and that mining is making huge profits now. It's continuing to extract that copper from that mine. So I'm just saying that more and more in different fields, Chinese are finding because we are open to investment. Our president every year call investment seminar, and more about 50 Chinese companies come and put their investment every year since the president has made this announcement.
During your term in China, how will you promote China-South Africa relation?
Like I'm saying, the foundation has already been laid because the political cooperation is strong. But as you know, all our economies have been affected by this pandemic of COVID. We'll continue to try and increase the trade between the two countries and try and rebalance the trade imbalance. But China, of course, is a bigger economy than South Africa. We will try and encourage more and more Chinese companies to go and invest in South Africa, because we have got what we call, announced by the President, as Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. It focuses on the agricultural sector, to put modern technology in the value chain. In mining sector, as I've said, it focuses on infrastructure. It focuses on tourism, which is why we're here today, and exchange of culture. So those are some of the key elements, but also science and technology, because we have to advance and modernize our economy. So those are the areas we really like to increase and deepen our cooperations. I've seen many of the companies, state-owned entities, and more companies who want to go and invest in South Africa. Just to give an example, this morning, I woke up very early because I have to go to Science Tech Park, the tech park, industrial park. I met a small company which is doing very well in the health sector. The software and equipment they are producing is really, really amazing. They just want to explore whether when they expand from China, because they're still growing in China, when they go international, they would like to set themselves in South Africa. I asked them why. They said they see growth into the Africa. The cultural aspects are going to be the main focus. Because if you check, for instance, tourism, China is a very important market for South Africa. Chinese tourists have been increasing in numbers, and also the quality of their expenditure has been very useful to the growth of our own industry in South Africa. And if it was not for the disturbances of COVID, I'm sure the numbers will still increase. And that's why we're putting every effort now that we have started the vaccination program to really work to defeat the pandemic. Yes, at this stage we are experiencing the third wave. It's still starting. We are trying to prevent it from becoming serious. But the vaccination program is expanding rapidly now. We had problems and glitches at the beginning, but it's even more hopeful now that your vaccine from China, like Sinopharm, Sinovac, have been given this green light by World Health Organization that they'll soon be registered in South Africa. It's the only way we can really get large volumes of vaccine to vaccinate our people. The vaccine we got from the West, they've been helpful, but they come in very small amount. And I'm just using that then tourism will be restored. Currently, His Excellency President has put so much effort to protect the tourism sector in South Africa. We are in the second phase of vaccination. The people who are working in that sector and small operators, they are part of that vaccination program because we're focusing on the elderly, but they were also prioritizing those who are working in the tourism industry because we are trying to protect that industry because they are the creators of large jobs for low-skilled people in South Africa.
Besides the vaccines, are there any other cooperations between China and South Africa during the pandemic?
A lot. As you recall, President Ramaphosa was chairing the African Union last year, and he worked very closely with His Excellent President Xi Jinping. And we're really grateful as the African continent on the decisive leadership of President Xi Jinping in assisting the African countries with medical equipment, protective devices, and even giving some of the poor countries vaccines. Otherwise, if it was not for China, some of the countries won't have a single dose of a vaccine. So the cooperation is going very, 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 very well in terms of how to deal with this vaccine. But also, President Ramaphosa has been very vocal to say, let the other developing countries be allowed to manufacture on an emergency basis so that we can save lives. And President Xi was the first to support that idea. So we are seeing more and more African countries gaining access to life-saving vaccine. But thirdly, as you know, when the economy is affected, they were the first to suspend or write off some of the debts to heavily indebted African countries. And that has contributed a lot to the rise of Africa to rise with China.
Mm-hmm. Looking forwardly, in which areas can China and South Africa cooperate?
No, I think there are a lot of areas. Being here in Shanghai, for instance, I love technology and digitization very much myself on a personal level. The issues of modernizing our economy and applying new systems and new technologies in terms of production is going to be key in technology transfer that will deepen that cooperation. We will also deepen the people-to-people contact relations, as we have said. It's very important for us. We're going to try our level best to have real cultural exchange where you will understand more and more, not just looking at the movies, and maybe exchange of real people to come and perform here in China, and more Chinese people to go and perform in our own cities so that we can learn more about the Chinese culture. It's only when you know a person's culture that you can develop true friendship, because you have deeper understanding of each other. But the priority now is economic recovery. The priority now is to continue to strengthen our political relations and, and make sure that we support and learn from each other as leaders of government and political parties in our country. So those are the three areas of importance to me, that we deepen our political relations, but pay more attention to our economic ties and trade, and making sure that we open both our markets to each other's good so that we can grow together. But people first. People to people conduct is going to be the great, and tourism is the main driver of that.
Both China and South Africa are developing as well BRICS countries. So do you think what kind of role will China-South Africa relation play while reordering international order?
It's very important, first, if you want to build a just international order, that you put the issue of international solidarity as a basis. You put peace at the forefront and prefer peace rather than confrontation. We share the very same aspiration of China. Now, all of us have committed to these UN Sustainable Development Goals, the issues of climate change, and making sure that we protect our ecological environment and protect our green spaces, and in starting green technologies. That's where we need to cooperate more, and China is a leader in that. So the issues of world peace is very important than warmongers. China, like South Africa, they've never colonized anybody. We believe in peaceful rise and cooperation with other nations. And that's why people, when they question us, why China is spending so much time with projects in Africa. China respects other leaders and leaders of Africa. There's a mutual respect. They don't try and change your own political programs and political system, but they assist you with the good programs through their own experience, and they learn from our own. So there's a mutual respect and a win-win situation in that. So African countries, all of them, they say they'll continue to cooperate with China because that cooperation is beneficial. As an example, if you talk of infrastructure development in Africa, that's what is going to be key to this intra-Africa trade, because currently African countries, they are just focusing in trading with foreign countries. There's very little intra-Africa trade. Why? Because we didn't have infrastructure which connects our own cities and our own countries. And China is playing a leading role in that. And that is appreciated by the African leaders. President P talk about a world of we should develop everybody and all humankind. We believe in those type of aspirations too, as African countries, and South Africa in particular, that we need a peaceful world, a peaceful and developing world, because we know where there's no peace, there can be no growth. We have learned from China too, because as African countries, and South Africa in particular, we've been trying to deal with this persistent poverty as a result of colonization and long years, more than 300 years of apartheid and colonization. China has shown us that through strong leadership and concerted and coordinated efforts, we can also defeat poverty. That's a great inspiration for us as developing nation, because they have extracted so many people out of poverty since the opening up period. Close to 800 million have been taken out of poverty. That's a great achievement. There's a great inspiration When you remove poverty, then you can talk about other rights. Because when I'm hungry, I can't even think about other rights. I can't think about whether it's worthwhile to vote or do other things. It's a very basic thing for living, is to not to be poor, not to be thinking what I'm going to eat every day. So it's when you take your people out of poverty that they can be on the journey to happiness and enjoy other benefits of life and other rights.
Mm-hmm. We all know China defeated poverty in last year. I learned that you visited some regions in Fujian in May. Yeah. So how do you comment on China's achievements on poverty alleviation?
No, as I've said, it is because the leadership in government and the leadership of the Communist Party, they are grounded on the people. It is people-centered development. If we are distant from the people, you can come with many programs, but you won't see the positive effect. But if you live with the people, as President Xi say, breathe the same air, share the same aspirations for the development, then you can defeat every problem. So really, it's not a wonder, but it is increasing your capacity to implement government projects, particularly important government projects like making people better life, to achieve better life, come out of poverty. If you increase your capacity and skills, that's why we talk about governance. If you increase your governance skills, you can be able to execute these projects. If you are able to remove the bad elements within your system quickly, if you are able to learn and not repeat bad things which has happened elsewhere. So that's what China has done. And in that conference or that visit, we were also discussing this thing of human rights. That human rights are very universal. But to enjoy human rights, it starts with what is happening within your country. Whether are you developing your people? Without developing your people, they cannot enjoy any human rights. And that's why in our South-South cooperation, when we talk about human rights, we say, yes, they are universal, yes, they are this, but it starts with development of your own people. It starts with the love of your own people and making sure that they live a better life than yesterday. They gain more happiness day by day. And they get the tools, better tools for life for tomorrow. So that's what has happened. That's what we have been sharing. We've seen how they've taken people who are living on boats, no access to health. We've met these people because it's only when you see, not hear, that you can find truth from the facts, because there are many facts. It's when you see and hear these stories from the people themselves. People who are living in squalor, in the boats, very risky in those typhoon-prone areas. They will say they'll tie themselves with their children when the typhoon comes, so that if the boat capsizes, they can be together to extract each other or die together. That's the highest level of determination just to survive. So they've taken those people out of boats, built them into community, which are thriving communities today with access to health, access to education, and access to income, because people need income. They need jobs. So that's what we have witnessed in most of the provinces I've visited in the first 6 months I've been here.
Mm-hmm. What lessons can other developing countries learn from China's experience?
We learned that there are no easy victories. Victories come out of, first, your own convictions. Sharing the very same aspirations, which are the aspirations of your own people, and working with the people, make your people their own liberators instead of giving them handouts. So that's what I can say I've learned in China. I can summarize in 3 ways. They are very resilient, they are trustworthy, and hardworking. So if you are resilient and persistent in pursuing your goals, that's what they call drilling like the water droplets through the rock until you solve your problem. And making sure that the weaker people, the poorer, are not left behind. That's why you talk about in China, letting the weak chicklets fly, to be first to fly. It's only if you do that, that you don't put the interests of the few or the rich, who are usually very vocal, but you push the interests of everyone and uniting everyone around your programs for development. Thank you.
Do you think how China-South Africa relation will promote African development in the future?
Like I've said earlier on, the peaceful rise of China will definitely give rise to the rise of Africa. Africa has got a lot of potential. We have got a very youthful nation, very creative population, and the prospect of real growth in the future, they'll come from Africa. Like some of our forefathers, we really have said that we have got this vision of a prosperous Africa. In 1906, there was a leader called Peace Gashel. He was a visionary, 1906, even before the formation of the ANC in 1912, who had this vision of Africa being the center for science and development. And today, what we see is only those countries which adopt science as a basis for technological advancement and development who are really prospering. So we are following on his footsteps. And that's what also we can share the experience and learn from China.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.